So if you are able to build a system in Claude Code, you can get these systems to be better and better. But the only way you're going to get these systems to be better and better is to have a thesis and have a human in the loop in order to sort of train them on like what is good and what is bad. Otherwise, you're going to just be lost in it.
Do you have any style of marketing yourself that allows you to gain more clients?
Honestly, what I've found to be the most successful is just building up my own personal brand. And like that has been like a really great way to at least start a conversation.
What do you want to accomplish this year?
We've built a handful of custom scrapers. The app is called Skipper. What we do is we go scrape the web, Reddit, Amazon, your website. We analyze all that data. We determine like who your core buyers are, what they care about most. And then we're generating on-brand ads for those clients.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Andres Figueira, and I'm going to be your host for the day. This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and a global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. All you need to do is visit globaltalent.co, click Start Hiring, and mention the podcast listener discount when we reach out. And today with me here, I am speaking with Will Sartorius, CEO of SelfMade, a performance creative agency that's specializing in meta advertising and AI-driven creative production for D2C brands. So with that said, welcome to the show, Will. It's a pleasure to have you here, man.
Andres, so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No, we're very glad we were able to make this work. And just so that we can hit the ground running, Will, would you be able to tell us a bit more about your background, how you became CEO of SelfMade, and maybe what SelfMade is in your own words?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely got here through a pretty unconventional route. I studied like economics and Spanish in college, did what made the most sense. I got a liberal arts degree, then I went into investment banking in New York City. I was in investment banking for about 3 years, covering the consumer sector. And so a lot of spreadsheets. But what I quickly discovered was that the meritocracy aspect of it was okay, but the notion that you are always sort of competing with your peers, especially as it pertains to bonuses and components like that, like you can never necessarily have like an honest conversation face to face. It always sort of felt like there was like backstabbing, and it just, wasn't necessarily for me. So I decided to sort of jump off stage left. I joined a startup at the time that was part of the Snap Incubator. And what that was a sort of fitness review app, sort of like an infatuation, but for fitness classes. This was like pre-pandemic when people were doing a lot of fitness classes. They're very hot. Obviously, it's back now. So the pandemic didn't do much to help that. And then from there, I moved to a D2C men's shoe wear company, largely e-commerce, based here in New York City. And I was running marketing. And then finally, I was hired as an employee of SelfMade, helping, I think it was like a marketing associate, helping some of the brands. And SelfMade has had a long history. The company was founded not by myself, but it was founded in 2016. They raised about $19 million in venture. The initial premise of SelfMade was a posting app. So what folks would do is they would upload their photos. Editors would edit them and post them on Instagram. The thesis at the time was that Instagram was going to become sort of the center of commerce. This is largely before Shopify became,
Thing.
it became ubiquitous with every every store. And so at the time, it was probably just a little too early. And so the company pivoted to be a more sort of conventional agency, and that's where I came on board. Long story short, there was a bit of a sort of a failed acquisition in 2022. A larger agency sort of came and said we wanted to acquire SelfMade. The guy ended up being a bit of a snake oil salesman, sadly. And we were doing probably about 3.5 million ARR at the time.
Okay.
Revenue very, very quickly tanked. Within 6 months to a year, it was just the company was nowhere even remotely close to where it needed to be. And so at that time, when many, many red flags were raised, he was pushed out. I had a conversation with the founder, and I guess, at the time I was just like, I don't really want to go look for another job. And he said, do you want to sort of give a shot running this? I said, fuck it. Yeah, let's do it. And, at that time I had, a lot of the good client relationships that we still maintained. And this was also at the same time that like ChatGPT was becoming more common. And so like I saw a lot of opportunity there to do a lot of what agencies were doing manually with AI. And that sort of like was sort of our foray into, the AI marketing space.
Wow. And about how long ago was this, Will? Like, in what year did you enter SelfMade, and then how long was it in your journey until you finally became CEO?
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, knowing what I know now, would I do it again? Yeah, probably not. But at at the time, I was like, yeah, this is awesome, and like I frankly have learned so much uh, about myself, but also just like probably like 10x what like an MBA would have ever done,
Of
right?
course.
And so like yeah. I joined Self-Made. I just had to look at my LinkedIn to sort of confirm this. I joined Self-Made 2021 and I took over in March 2023. And now I guess it's yeah, just 3 years now, just over 3 years I've been running the company.
So then it's been a while since you guys have been dabbling with AI in order to get the best out of it and then automate your processes. Like, you saw the potential in it before it actually just like exploded in the trend that it is now then.
Yeah, totally. And so what we were doing at the time, we were collecting reviews, we were analyzing the reviews manually, assigning a persona, an angle, an emotion to reviews, and we had a team doing this. And I was like, this is crazy. We're wasting so much time, resources, effort. And so effectively, at the just like created a Google Doc with a bunch of prompts to analyze reviews and like that nowadays is like sort of like known as like a skill or a markdown file, but that allowed us to in every sales pitch come prepared and say, we know who you need to be targeting, we know how you need to be speaking to them, and that just like started selling like hotcakes. And it was before people were like really attuned to like what an LLM was, and so we were just really early. And at the time the floodgates just sort of opened, and like we went from like losing 30 grand a month to being profitable very, very quick. And that again, like was sort of the entry point. And it was just like agencies it felt like very, very stuck in their ways. And I tell this story sort of often, but I was at a conference, I think right after I took over Self-Made, and there was a panel on email marketing. And the folks up there were talking about personalization in email and how you can sort of like go one-to-one very easily. You have all these data points on email, right? So like if you really wanted to take the time, energy, and effort, you could write a unique email to every person and know exactly what to say to them based on their purchasing patterns. And so I raised my hand and I was like, so what do you do about paid? And they're like, well, normally we just have like sort of like brainstorming sessions about like who to target. But it was not necessarily like in any way data backed, right?
Okay.
And they just get this whole spiel on email, and now they're saying for paid, like we're just doing brainstorming sessions on who we think we should be targeting. And that was like sort of my light bulb moment. I was like, okay, so people are stuck in this sort of like conventional way, and like there's still a lot to be said about human brainstorming, and like we do it internally still, but at the end of the day you sort of need to have like a bit of a foundation to do that, sort of to know, like at the very least, like here are my top one, my top 10 personas that I need to be targeting. Here's what each one cares about, and like how should I be speaking to each of them, right? And like if you sort of branch that out, you probably get like 50 to 100 different concepts, and then from there you just continue iterating.
Okay, no, I love that because that really is what AI also enables us to do now, which is not just need to brainstorm and think about what the best strategy is, but you're able to analyze so much data so much quicker that you can just reiterate what the AI helps you understand is going well. And that is like something that I feel is invaluable because it doesn't take human judgment out of the equation, but it does provide a lot of more effectiveness and efficiency when doing these types of things, because I do understand what you mean that marketing had been stuck in like its own way of doing things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like people talk about which industries are going to be disrupted the most with AI, and like marketing is always the first one that comes out of someone's mouth, right? It's like marketing, marketing, marketing. And I think where people get a little lost is you really need to have like this sort of foundation and skills in order to use these tools effectively, and not just like go into ChatGPT and like sort of type in I need an ad based on XYZ, right? Like you need to build scalable processes, and you need to still have critical thinking, right? And so like and like obviously I do worry about future generations and critical thinking, innately. But like we are in a position today where, most of us, in their 30s, 20s, 40s, whatever it is, have the ability to sort of think about these things critically. So if you are, and this is what we do internally, able to build a system in Claude Code that can sort of analyze your data, determine sort of the holes in your strategy, and then generate sort of subsequent briefs that you can review, and even at the next step, generate ads that you can review. You can get these systems to be better and better. But the only way you're going to get these systems to be better and better is to have a thesis and have a human in the loop in order to sort of train them um, on like what is good and what is bad effectively. Otherwise, you're just going to revert to the mean, and like you're going to just be, lost in it.
And how have you been able to, in certain terms, how could I call this, to educate your team in order for them to be able to take on these processes and create them themselves? Is there like a type of course profile that you look for, or how do you go about that?
It's a really good question, and it's a really tough answer. It is hard to sort of instill some of these things, within your team. Oftentimes, I will do calls with our team members, sort of walking them through processes. I have a newsletter that goes out every Friday, um, and it that gets very good engagement. But I encourage my team to read that. But like at the end of the day, there's going to really be sort of two sort of sides of the bell curve here. It's going to be people that sort of like learn how to use these tools effectively and thoughtfully, and everyone says like you need to be using AI every day. Like that doesn't mean like writing your emails with Claude or ChatGPT. That means like innately understanding what the underlying principles and logic of these tools are in order to best manipulate them to give the output that you ultimately are looking for,
Of
right?
course.
And so like what I am looking at, so that's sort of one side of the bell curve. The other side of the bell curve is people that are just like, writing their emails with ChatGPT, maybe like using Claude Cowork to clean up their Asana, right? If you are in that first group, you will, really, really exceed. So we have just recently created a team for AI creative only. And like that group is because I was sort of facing the issues that I'm sort of outlining now. It's like it's especially for like editors, strategists, it's hard to sort of get out of the conventional way of thinking. Like and what I want our company to be is like, because we live in a day and age where you need a lot of creative volume on Meta to be successful, right? Like Andromeda and Gem have sort of changed the game in that respect. So what I want is for us to be at least like 80% AI creative output. So you sort of fit that goal, and then like if we're working with a brand, they can go tell their CEO, yeah, don't worry, we're using AI. And then the other 20%, we sort of free up our human strategists to write like 2 to 4 minute briefs that are actually thoughtful and are generating content that like AI can't do. Like short form content right now, like AI and AI, UGC as they call it, it's indistinguishable. So like, but still the 2 to 4 minute range of ads, like just absolutely do so well because people are just like starved for human connection, right? And so like if you're able to sort of fulfill your output with AI statics, AI animations, short form video, and do that and give your teammates back the time they need to write thoughtful scripts, that is a winning strategy in my book. And so to go back to what I was saying initially, like we have started building out an AI creative only team where these people are, just working in Claude Code, generating statics and animating them, and then ultimately training sort of like the markdown files, which when someone says markdown files, when someone says skills, when someone says agents, like that's just a block of text, right? Like people love to overcomplicate this shit. It's like not as like scary as it seems. It's just like a prompt is a markdown file, right? Google Doc can be a markdown file, right? And so what you're doing is you are just giving Claude easier access to like a skill you've sort of predefined. And so like if I want to create a headline ad, I have a headline markdown file. So I say, Claude, go look at my headline markdown file, create an ad for me that follows this rubric, right? And so we have a team internally now that is working with 20 to 30 different ad types and constantly iterating on those markdown files to get better and better outputs every time.
Wow, like I love the fact that you've been able to exactly create a team specially designated to be able to excel while using AI, and also make sure that you're able to free up the rest of the company and the employees by giving them AI so that they can focus on what matters the most. And in terms of this is something else that I'm really curious about, Will, how big is Self-Made? How many people do you have helping you out with this whole endeavor?
Yeah, I think we're about like 40 people,
Okay.
roughly. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that is so nice. I thought it was a little bit bigger, but I understand with the AI use you guys have, and it's a lot of optimization and efficiency so that not that many employees are needed. And in terms of the clientele you guys manage, is there any specific type of profile or style of client that you guys take on, or is it just practically anybody besides the DTC part?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um, Within like sort of like our strategy arm of the business, I would say like food and beverage, we have a lot of clients, a lot of red tape brands too. We've gotten very adept, like the THC space. We do like a lot of THC drinks. We have a lot of ED clients, men's and women's sexual wellness clients. I think it was just because like we sort of like learned how to scale one of these accounts in a highly regulated area, and then just took that playbook and copy and pasted it.
I love it. Okay.
And so just like it's not that necessarily easy because like if you it's very easy to get your ad account taken down and then you have to start from scratch. So it's like what do you do? And like we sort of have a three-stage process in order to scale up an account and not get it taken down, and it's been very, very successful.
Wow.
Um, in terms of the sort of like the AI creative only arm of the business, like we are doing a lot of B2B there, but also D2C as well. So it's been really cool to sort of see that sort of grow and flourish. And I think people just like there's a lot of demand for volume now. And like also, I did a course with Motion, the creative analytics company, last week. And people are just like people just feel like they're behind because like everyone is sort of posting on LinkedIn, posting on Twitter, like you're missing this FOMO, right? Loss aversion. But like again, all you really need to do is just open up Claude Code, put like your folders in there that you've collected in your projects, or just like put like all your call transcripts in a folder, and then just like start working, right? Um, yeah, it's been I'm getting off on a bit of a tangent, but at the end of the day, like it's been a really cool sort of circuitous route that has brought us here.
And in terms of also when you mentioned the clients you have, do you just cater to markets like in the States, or are you working with other countries? How big is Self-Made in terms of its in terms of its globalization?
I would say 90% of the companies we work with are US based, but they
Mhm.
may also be advertising in the UK or Europe or Australia.
Oh, boy.
But generally speaking, it is largely US based companies that we're focused on.
And
Um,
and mainly
yeah.
English speaking countries then, because if it's not US, UK, Australia, but it's like more markets that manage the same understanding of how things are said, for example.
Yeah, namely English speaking. We will occasionally do Spanish speaking as well. And take the ads that we're creating in English, just translate them into Spanish. Again, AI is a great tool for that. Please QC though. There's a lot of words that will not be translated correctly, especially in like the red tape industries, like erectile dysfunction. Just like proceed with caution. Um, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's mostly English, a little
Okay.
Spanish as well.
And now in terms of how you gain more clients, I understand and I feel that it's a lot of word of mouth and just creating this proper reputation for the company that people recognize and they want to work with. But do you have any style of marketing yourselves that allows you to gain more clients, or any specific what's it called, strategy that is able to generate conversions for you guys? Anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, it's a great question. We tried cold email for a while and it sort of floundered pretty horribly. And then eventually I turned it off. Honestly, what I've found to be the most successful is just building up my own personal brand. Started a newsletter, I think in September. And now we're up to like a few thousand people. on it, and goes out every Friday, focused on like AI and AI workflows, AI creative workflows, I should say. And
Okay.
like that has been like a really great way to at least start a conversation. People will just book calls and be like, "How are you figuring this out?" Or like, I went to your lecture and like I learned so much, but like I'm still struggling with this, right? And like those conversations like are ultimately, I would say maybe 50% of them lead to something, 50% are not. When I first started doing the newsletter, I was a little nervous. I was like, I feel like I'm just like giving all of my secrets away. And like anytime I sort of learned something new, it was one of these things where I was like, I probably shouldn't be sending this. But now I'm totally of the mindset, like I'm open source, right? Like if I give enough information away, like I will build enough trust and people like will inherently want to like come and work with me because just like who I am as a human being. Um, and then also on the personal brand, like posting on LinkedIn has helped, but like I think that is really what it really comes down to. We've run ads in the past, that sort of works, but like it's always sort of like ironic. Most agencies are always asking like, should I run ads or does it make sense to run Facebook ads? It's just like, you know. um, but yeah, I would say largely just like from my own personal branding, I've been able to like attract the right people.
But just because you create the newsletter, I also feel I would feel I'm giving my secrets away, but we can't be gatekeepers, man. We got to make sure it's open source and shared. So that creates, as you mentioned, more trust. And I love it. I love it. That's like, I hadn't heard a proper CEO mention this as a method of them getting more clients. So respect with that, because I think it's pretty cool. And it's not easy to create your personal brand, especially tailored in something that isn't as there isn't that much expertise, because everybody's an expert with AI, and it's kind of weird to just to make yourself distinct from the rest.
Totally. And it's such a good point, Andres. Like when I first started posting, it was like largely just adding to the noise, right? It was just like I was talking about sort of creative strategy and like how to generate good creatives, and like those were sort of like a dime a dozen. And then when I started to like niche down, it's something very hyper specific. Like I sort of became like the AI creative guy. And like so then that sort of like created this like feedback loop. I was like, oh, I'm the AI creative guy. Like so I need to be doing more of that. And it's like, oh, I need to be pushing the agency that way. It was just like sort of like this self-fulfilling prophecy that was unintentional, which is sort of interesting.
Of course.
And then when I knew like I had sort of like made it as it, like the people with many many more followers than me were using my workflows like in their YouTube videos, or were using my workflows like in their LinkedIn posts, and they attribute it to me most times, I will say. And like so at that point I was like, okay, so like this is our niche now, so like buckle up everybody, we're the AI creative team.
And well, okay, now I would love to know, as like we're coming to the close of the episode, and that would be in terms of what do you want to accomplish this year with Self-Made, with your personal brand, and is there any other what's it called, entrepreneurial stints that you're handling right now?
Yeah, I would say it's probably threefold. Firstly, I really want to scale our AI creative offering. So many brands are struggling with volume. And at the end of the day, like maybe they're trying to produce like statics and animations with Claude or whatever, but they're still struggling to get it on brand. Like we have cracked that code. And like we have a team that is like getting better and better every day. Like there are probably members on my team now that probably know more than me, but I'm like still touching base on like, how did you figure this out? How did you figure this out? Um, and so like that's something I really, really want to scale. And like we can now deliver probably 5x what we could before at the same cost. Which makes a big difference for brands, of course. Like at the end of the day, we're all here to just like make money, right? Like, that's what brands care about the most. And also like the marketing is pretty fun. Like I love the creative strategy component to it.
Yeah, I think that's something that makes it always entertaining and different whenever you're
Totally.
taking on new clients or anything.
Totally. And like to sort of foray that into the AI conversation, like you have to be a good creative strategist. And so this goes well into my point number two. We've been building an app that sort of takes all of my learnings and sort of I guess appifies it, right? So like we've built a handful of custom scrapers. The app is called Skipper. What we do is we go scrape the web Reddit, Amazon, your website, Facebook ad comments, sort of you name it, we can scrape it. We analyze all that data. We determine like who your core buyers are, what they care about most, and then we're generating on-brand ads for those clients. And within our platform, we have sort of two styles of editing. Like if you don't like the AI output, you can edit with AI. We've also built like a proprietary like Canva style editing software, so you can edit an AI ad directly in platform, which has been awesome. And then sort of like third and finally, oh, sorry, the point I wanted to make there was that like what I discovered is like I would be talking to the developers and I'd be like, well, this ad doesn't look good, right? Because X, Y, and Z, and they're like, oh, we thought it looked good. But that's where the human component comes in, right? It's like you need to sort of have taste and you need to sort of like know like who you're targeting, what you should be saying to them, and why. Again, like we call them internally like PAM clusters, persona, angle, motivation. Motivation and emotion are sort of interchangeable,
Okay.
but like PAM sounds a lot better than pay. So um and then third and sort of finally, like I need to build a course, right? Like there's like I have so much knowledge in my head that I want to get out there. And people are asking me all the time to have a course, to have a course. Like that is definitely a sort of Q3 goal of mine, to do like a comprehensive course for folks to like go from 0 to 100 in generating AI ads.
That is, well, first of all, if when that course comes out, let me know because I'll be one of the first students to look at everything you have to say, man, because I totally see the understanding and the value behind everything you're mentioning because I see the experience that you've had with it and it's so cool, dude, like for real. Really congratulate you
Thanks,
on
man.
that. And in terms of the Skipper app, it's just crazy. Is that already out? Can like any company access it, or is there a certain time when it will be finally available to all the public?
Yeah, for sure. So we're in beta testing right now. We have a handful of folks testing it. If you want to be a beta tester, go to getskipper.ai, sign up on the website there. We'll send you an email. And you get a bunch of free credits. All we ask for is sort of feedback in return. I would expect, we'll probably be fully in market May, and maybe I would say May, or late May, early June, fully in market. But the feedback
Okay.
has been great, and it's been really helpful for like smaller teams, one that just like, don't have a budget for an agency, and also larger teams that just like need to produce a lot more ads very, very quickly. And so like this again is a sort of self-service tool. Is sort of like you get a set number of credits, you can keep generating ads, everything's going to be on brand, everything is going to use your brand tone. Like you are uploading a lot of information of your own if you'd like, but at the end of the day, we're still scraping all of your products, your colors, your copy to determine like how you speak. So all that information is embedded, but you still have control. Like this is still like a tool that is built for you, but not vice versa.
Okay, okay. Like now I'm even more interested. So anybody hearing this, just know that if it's before May or June, go to getskipper.ai if I'm not mistaken.
Bingo, yeah.
Amazing. And go check that out. At least I know I'm going to. But with that said, Will, I am certain that you will accomplish your goals and that this year is going to go incredibly well with how well positioned you're within the AI space, because it's the only way you can go is up right now if you know more about it. So congratulations on that, man. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for hopping on this episode with us and telling us all your insights, your learnings, and how you're doing things, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all, man. And to anybody who is here with us as well and listening, thank you so much for coming on the episode, for listening to all the different personalities that we're bringing on and all the different industries that we're learning about. So with that said, have a good one.